love to have, love to hate. I want never gets. There is truth in this childhood admonition, although here I would rephrase it slightly too. The stronger you want something, the less likely you are to get it. When you want something so much that you are willing to place everything on the cards to get it, you create huge excess potential, which destroys balance. Balanced forces can then throw you onto a lifeline where there is no trace of the object you desired. On an energetic level, a person obsessed with desire is like a wild boar trying to catch a blue bird. The boar wants the bird badly, licking its lips, snorting loudly, and rooting the ground in anticipation. Naturally, the bird flies away. If, on the other hand, the boar had simply wandered around somewhere nearby, as if indifferent, it would have had a good chance of grabbing the bird by the tail. There are 3 types of desire. The first is when a strong desire transforms into the determined intention to have something and do whatever is required to get it. Then the desire is fulfilled. The potential created by the desire is dispersed because the energy behind it is fueled into action. The second type of desire is inactive and tormenting and represents excess potential in its purest form. It lingers in the energy field. In a best-case scenario, it wastes the energy of the suffering carrier. And in a worst-case scenario, attracts all kinds of unrelated problems. The third kind of desire is the most insidious. This type of desire becomes dependent on the object of the desire. Attaching great significance to the desired object automatically creates a dependent relationship and strong excess potential, which in turn calls into effect equally powerful balanced forces. Usually, the person's thoughts run along the lines of, if I achieve this, my situation will improve dramatically. If I don't achieve this, my life will lose all meaning. If I do this, I'll prove to myself and everybody else what I'm worth. If I don't do this, I'm worth nothing. If I got this, it would be great. It will be terrible if I don't get this, and so on. Once you become dependent on the object of your desire, you are drawn into such a violent whirlpool that you will exhaust yourself in the struggle. Eventually, when you realize that your efforts have led to nothing, you will let go of the desire. Balanced forces will have restored equilibrium, remaining completely indifferent to your suffering. And all because of a strong attachment to the fulfillment of a desire. This is what happens when a desire is placed on one dish of the scales, and absolutely everything else is piled on the other. Only the first type of desire can be fulfilled, because desire is transformed into pure intention, free of excess potential. It is a common view that there is no such thing as a free lunch, and everything has to be paid for. In truth, we pay only for the excess potential we create. In the alternative space, everything is free. Since we are already using these terms, it could be said that absence of importance and dependent relationships are a kind of payment for the fulfillment of desire. The energy of pure intention is all that is required for you to transfer to a lifeline where the object of desire becomes a part of your reality. We will return later to the subject of intention. For now, we will simply note that pure intention is desire and action without the attribution of importance. For example, going to the shop to buy a newspaper is a pure intention because it is in no way inhibited greater an event is valued, the more likely it is to fall through in some way. If you attribute huge value to what you have, sooner or later, balanced forces will take it from you. If what you want to receive is hugely important to you, there is very little chance of you actually getting it unless you lower the stakes. For example, you are mad about your new car. You blow the dust off it, cherish it, fear it may get scratched, and generally worship it. The huge value you place on your car creates excess potential, because in the reality of the information field, its true meaning is close to nil. Balanced forces will soon find a clumsy driver to cripple your car, or you may bump it somewhere by being overly cautious. All you have to do is level out your attitude towards it. Treat it as the relatively ordinary object that it is, and the chances of it being damaged will be sharply reduced. Treating your car as something ordinary does not mean carelessly. You can take perfectly good care of a car without idolizing it. There is another aspect to the dynamics of strong desire. A lot of people believe that if you want something badly enough, you will get it. This would suggest that strength of desire can bring you onto a lifeline where your desire will be fulfilled, but that is not the case. If your desire has become dependent, like a kind of psychosis, or you are hysterically driven to obtain something whatever the cost, then somewhere deep down inside, you do not really believe that you can achieve it. This creates strong interference in the thought energy you are transmitting. If you do not truly have faith in something, you will try really hard to convince yourself that you can achieve what you want, thereby boosting the level of excess potential even more. With this kind of dynamic, there is a risk that your life work could actually take you all your life to achieve. All you can do is reduce the significance your aim has for you personally and set about achieving what you desire in the same manner as you would if you were go to the shop to buy a newspaper. The strong desire to avoid something is a logical continuation of being dissatisfied either with yourself or with something in your environment. The greater the negative attachment, the more powerful the excess potential will be. The more you want to avoid something, the greater the probability that you will experience it, because balanced forces have no attachment to the means of restoring balance. They simply have two alternatives, which are either to draw you away from encountering the thing you want to avoid, or to bring you into contact with it. It is better to consciously stop negating things in your environment so that you do not create excess potential in the first place. But this is not the only consequence of strong negative attachment. When you think about the thing you are negating, you radiate energy at the frequency of a lifeline where that thing is present. You always get the things you love to hate. In reality, this is what happens when you actively desire for something not to happen. Imagine a man attending a grand reception at an embassy. The atmosphere is formal, refined, and sedate. Then the man starts waving his hands about uncontrollably, stamping his feet, and screaming desperately how much he would hate to be forced to leave immediately. Naturally, the security guys would appear forthwith, grabbing the strange guest under the arms. The man whines and tries to resist, but is nonetheless swiftly escorted out of the building. This is, of course, an exaggerated picture of reality. But on an energetic level, the dynamic of negative attachment has the same level of force and intensity. Let us take another example. In the middle of the night, you are woken by your noisy neighbors. You really want to sleep because you have to go to work in the morning. But it seems like your neighbor's party is just getting going. The more you want them to stop, the more likely the party is to go on for some time. The angrier you get, the noisier the party becomes. And if you start to hate your neighbors with intensity, you can guarantee that late-night parties will become more frequent. To solve the problem, you can apply the method of defeating or stopping the pendulum. You will stop the pendulum's sway if you choose to see the situation as a parody. You could also ignore the situation, refusing to show any sign of interest or emotion. Then the pendulum will be defeated, and no excess potential is created. Take comfort in the awareness that you have freedom of choice and that you know how to use it. Soon the neighbors will settle down. This is how it works. Try it out for yourself. Now you can think back and recognize what things in your life you have attributed excessive importance to, and what problems you came up against as a result. If things are genuinely awful, let go of the idea of their importance totally. Shake loose your dependency on the situation and start transmitting positive energy right away. The worse things are now, the better, as this will enable you to assess how the technique works if you feel that you have suffered great loss. Take heart. In this situation, balanced forces are on your side because their task is to compensate bad with good. Things can no more be bad all the time than they can be good all the time. No one can ride the wave of success all their lives. This is what it would look like on an energetic level if you were to reattune your energy in this way. Imagine you were attacked, abused, beaten up, and everything you had on you was taken. And then, all of a sudden, you were shoved a bag which turned out to be full of money. The more you were wounded, the greater the amount of money in the bag there would be.